Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. Today I have a prepared statement that I will read, and when I am finished, I will take any questions. This media conference is about bringing to light the inadequacies and uninformed elements of Tom Ashe's recent proposal to address the opioid crisis. Having personally spent the past 23 years working in public safety in a correctional environment and working directly with people and families affected by the substance abuse, I was deeply concerned to see the recent plan proposed by Tom Ashe, detailed in the Republican Mass Live, for an additional 77-bed facility on the Ludlow compound. Though politically expedient, his plan belies a basic lack of understanding of the role of the sheriff. It shows a lack of understanding for the nature of this disease of addiction, and most importantly, a lack of understanding for the basic tenets of how to best combat this crisis affecting our community. Not only does Tommy Ashe's plan not help those afflicted achieve lasting recovery, it can sadly cost lives. The work I, along with hundreds of other professionals, have done at the Hampden County Addiction Center has been a driving force in our community for successfully helping those battling addiction for decades. But we have not accomplished this by acting alone. Rather, a critically important component of our endeavors has been our ability to work cooperatively and in partnership with both the state and community-based treatment service providers. The Sheriff's Department's primary role in the battle against addiction is to prepare offenders to re-enter the community with needed treatment and stabilization services, along with referrals to programs and services in the community. These community-based referrals are made to the agencies or organizations which best meet the individual's needs. For decades, we have been providing the framework for an application of intense substance abuse treatment services for our offender population. However, equally important is that the department has been connecting those offenders returning to the community to appropriate Bureau of Substance Abuse Services licensed treatment programs, as well as peer-to-peer recovery support communities. The Bureau of Substance Abuse Services is the state's agency that oversees substance abuse treatment services. They have been on the front lines in battling against this opioid abuse crisis. Governor Baker has been a willing partner, significantly increasing funding for this effort of BSAS. He has done this in his 2017 budget, including monies for peer-to-peer recovery centers, even in Western Massachusetts. When you better understand the wide range of services these state programs provide, it is evident that a county sheriff's department is far better suited to work with them rather than trying to duplicate them in their services. We need to support their efforts rather than spend taxpayers' money competing with them and drawing money from them. Our own budget does not allow for an expansion at our Ludlow facility. It is unfortunate that Tom Ashe neglected to provide us with the specifics of how he would procure the resources necessary to accomplish that plan. And according to experts, counselors, and experts in the field, it just simply will not be effective. It is highly unlikely that those seeking voluntary treatment will be willing to go to jail to get it. The treatment programs for those involuntarily committed and those seeking voluntary treatment should be separate from each other. These are real disadvantages and dangers to criminalizing someone who has not been criminalized. A young person whose family is desperate for treatment options may not appreciate that such a setting may be more damaging to their loved one than helpful. Remember, this is an opioid issue that is a public health crisis. It is not a criminal justice issue. We cannot criminalize and institutionalize this epidemic. We need to treat and educate our way to slowing down this runaway train. And this needs to occur in a treatment and educational setting, not a jail cell. The jail is not a place that patients should be treated. These people deserve more, and they deserve better. We are already level funded to accomplish our primary mission of incarceration and rehabilitation of our criminal population in Ludlow for this coming year. However, for more than 30 years at our former treatment center on Howard Street and temporarily presently located in Holyoke, we are so proud of over the 17,200 offenders who have passed through our door. We are so proud of the 88% program success rate, which they hold, not the department, the men and women who have went through the program. And I look forward to continuing our great work if elected your next sheriff. We have demonstrated through decades of hard work that to be effective, substance abuse treatment must occur near wraparound services. In the community, Ludlow offers no services like that. Tommy Ashe also proposed a real-time database for judges and court staff. Ladies and gentlemen, that database exists. There is an established database at www.mabhaccess.com. Through a web portal and helpline, all parties can see what beds are available in the state and when updated by the treatment centers, what is available. It is not perfect, but putting resources to improve existing infrastructure rather than attempting to rebuild one is far more cost effective to the taxpayer. The fact that the city councilor did not even know that this exists is another indication that the position of sheriff and the work that we are tasked with is too important to leave to uneducated political rhetoric. Politics, when mixed with real correctional and behavioral issues, can be a very dangerous combination. We cannot and we should not house a primary addiction center on our campus in Ludlow. Politicians often talk about treatment on demand or for housing low-risk individuals with higher-risk offenders. It may make for a great soundbite. It may make for a nice tagline, but it just is bad correctional practices. Community-based drug rehabilitation outside the walls of the jail with wraparound services in close proximity ultimately is the more cost-effective way to serve our afflicted population. It produces far better results for the individual with addiction and their families who have been suffering along with their loved one from the sidelines. I'd like to thank you so much today for coming. I feel that this issue is at the forefront of so many of our minds. I want you also to know that as the next sheriff of Hampden County, you will have my undivided support and attention and experience in combating this issue. Thank you so much for coming today. Thank you.
Nick, before we go to questions, if I could just say something, please. My name is Peter Babineau. I'm an addiction specialist for the Hampden County House of Correction. I've been in this field for a very long time, and I stand here with other addictions specialists who have been in this for a long time. We're here on our own time. We've taken time out of work to be here because we believe in this mission. We know that this mission is not about politics. This is a mission that's about saving people's lives. It's that critical. It's that dramatic. So we're here because we support you. We support the work that you're doing and that we're going to continue to do together. Thanks very much.
Well, what I'd like to do, thank you so much, Peter. I'd like some of the staff, and this is what I would say to my right is really why we're here. These are the men and women who are the success stories. This is the men and women who have gone through the program and have changed not only their lives and their families' lives, but they've changed ours. So why don't we start right here, Billy, and we'll come right on through.
My name is Bill Knight. I'm the program director at Michael's House here in Springfield. We are a 14-bed facility. We have 12 men residing at the house at this time. We have been very successful in the last year in regards to people going through our program and being successful in recovery.
I'm Mike Patterson. I was involved in addiction and still am. I've been through it. I've been to Lodo. I've been through addiction treatment and currently heavily involved in AA. And I can say I've been sober now for 5 months, with great thanks to Nick and all these men and women who actually care. And it's a problem. It's a massive problem that needs to be taken care of. And that, I'll pass it.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Quinones. I'm a mentor for AISS, and I find it very, working with Nick Cocchi and through the Sheriff's Department, that lives need to be transformed, and with behaviors that's going on, you know, we need to know how to, through AISS and mentorship, we've worked with these individuals and helped them not only to stop crime, but to minister to the behavior as well. And through working with mentorship, there's a lot of programs there that has provided this great service, anger management, dealing with issues that weren't dealt with in the addiction. You get that at AISS, and they also have, it's more like a sponsor, like a big brother, big sister type program. You know, whatever you need is in the Sheriff's Department. And I've seen a lot of people, including myself, being successful in it, you know, going through the programs. And I mean, and they encourage you. They don't just look upon you. They motivate you. They let you know that you can do this. And they basically, it feels like they're just taking you by the hand and saying, hey, come on, let's go and do this. And they have all these other programs that help us, you know, in our addiction. And for that, I am grateful, because I've been in other cities where they don't have this. All they do is put you in jail, and there's no solution. So for that, Nick, I am grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Celeste Gainey. I'm also a mentor with the Sheriff Department. I'm all for Mr. Cocchi here for Sheriff, because I sat there and heard a lot of great things that he was saying, and willing to help the people out in the community that have addiction problems. I'm as well am a recovering addict. You know, I'll have 3 years clean, coming in 4 months, and working with Mr. Cocchi and helping to make the world a better place. You know, I'm all for it. I'm all for helping men and women, you know, that has addiction. You know, I'm a recovery specialist now for a residential program called My Sister's House in Springfield. And I work with the women there that's having a hard time, you know, dealing with addiction. You know, and I, you know, let them know that there's, you know, a lot of programs, a lot of help out there, you know, that they can get. I myself went through Howard Street, you know, and I took all the tools and nails with me, you know, and made myself and my life better. So again, I'm all for Mr. Cocchi here with the addiction, you know, and try to make, you know, the men and women, you know, well, and better programs, more programs. I'm all for it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Bill, Mike, Kim, and Celeste, I'll tell you this: you're here saying it with me. I want you to know we're all here today because we're with you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Once again, my name is Peter Babineau, addiction specialist with the department. I'm also a person in long-term recovery, and totally in support of this campaign.
Hi, I'm Marcy Julian, and first and foremost, I'm a mom, and my family has faced addiction, and we know, unfortunately, all too much about what families face. I'm also a former assistant DA, so I have a perspective from the other side of the fence, and I'm now an advocate for a a family support organization that works with families affected by addiction. So, you know, I'm pretty committed to seeing the right things happen. I know all too well the obstacles that our loved ones face in accessing treatment and accessing the necessary supports that they need. And I'm a strong supporter of the programming that currently exists at the Hampden County Sheriff's Department for substance abuse treatment. I believe the time people spend in jail, either pretrial or under a sentence of incarceration, they should be receiving treatment. But I don't believe that people should have to go to jail to get voluntary treatment. So I stand by Nick and his remarks, and I was recently appointed by Governor Baker to a special commission to study licensed addiction treatment centers in Massachusetts. So I hope that we will see some positive changes occur in the not-too-distant future. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Joanne Gorkovec, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent of the Substance Abuse Unit at the Hampden County House of Corrections. And I can share that 87% of our population that comes in there have a substance abuse history. And I run the unit. It's 154 beds, and it's a substance abuse unit. And we provide programming for pretrial and sentence inmates. And all my counselors on that unit, they're either certified drug and alcohol counselors, or they're in the process of getting their certification. And we just do a lot of work. We do process groups. The women and men that spoke over there, we work with all those young men and women. They've done really well, and we're so proud of them because we believe in helping our inmate population while they're incarcerated, so when they do get released back into the community, we can help make those referrals. And we work very close with all the agencies in the community. We work very close with BHN, and we just have that continuity of services. And we want to make sure that continues to happen, because we don't want to send anybody out there that don't have the services that's in place. And we also work with a lot of volunteers that come into our program on a daily basis to work with our inmate population, so that they can go out and know what's out there and continue what we've begun to work with. We know that when you come into the Sheriff's Department that we can't do everything, but we know we can get started, plant the seed, give people the tools that they need, and we have a lot of tools that we can give to people. And we're just working really hard to make sure that we just have that connection, because like Nick said, the jail can't do everything. We got to get people ready to go out in the community and have services out in the community, and that's what our goal is. And we do family work, we do continuity of service when people go through our jail, our pre-release center, our AIS program. It just don't stop at the main facility. Again, we have a wraparound services within the jail, and again, just having that unit, 154 unit bed that is there for substance abuse specialties, it's huge. I think it's huge. And what we want to do is continue with that, and just keep enhancing what we're doing. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anthony Chiavelli. I'm the Assistant Director at the Western Mass Correctional Addiction Center. I'm also a person in long-term recovery. And just one comment I wanted to make was the idea that to get voluntary treatment, you would have to come up to our complex, to jail in Ludlow. Really flies in the face of, as Nick said, the governor's campaign to destigmatize addiction. And we would never dream of asking a group of people suffering from diabetes or some other disease to come up to jail to get treatment. That's kind of akin to what it is. So there's a lot of great solutions out there, but that Nick has in his platform. That is.
Okay, I'm Paul Hegarty, and I'm the Assistant Superintendent of our Day Reporting and Community Safety Center. And I'm also a person in long-term recovery from addiction. And I want to say that I haven't known Nick my whole time within the department, because he was probably in high school maybe when I first started back when Howard Street, WMCAT, Western Mass Correctional Addiction Center opened. I was actually nothing great about me, but I was the first counselor hired there as a substance abuse counselor, so I have a lot of experience in the field of substance abuse and treatment, and I had the privilege of working there for many years. And the dedication and commitment of our department is just unbelievable with what we've been doing. And I know a lot of this, and I just want to say to you, personally, Nick, that when I did start working with you as a head security supervisor, and then as the training coordinator for all of our department-wide training and running our academies, I got to say I was kind of surprised of the commitment and dedication that you had for addictions and for people. And I know as a person in recovery myself that comes from somebody's heart, and they got to be committed to that. And I know we've had a lot of conversations over the years, Nick, and it's not just because Nick Cocchi's running for sheriff, because we've had these conversations over the years. If you've known somebody that had a problem, even within the treatment and the programs within our own department, how can we make sure we're doing the right thing? That's the type of conversations that I've had with Nick. And not getting too far off on what's being done in the department. I think a lot of people do know that, but it hasn't been, I don't think, talked about quite enough. In 1992, I was sent over to, I applied and I went to the pre-release center as a substance abuse specialist, myself and another gentleman, 2 full-time people. They're still doing substance abuse every day there since then. Joanne was my supervisor, and that's what I did for 5 years until '97 when I came to day reporting. And I believe, you know, what we're doing in our whole department is the continuum of care. And as mentioned, and I don't want to say too much more about it, but the substance abuse providers in Massachusetts are doing a phenomenal job. And the reason that they can't meet all the needs is a lot of funding issues. The governor has added a lot more funding. I don't know if people really realize, but we have 100 beds went online this month in Western Massachusetts. 64 beds in Greenfield, 30 beds, 64 beds in Greenfield, 32 beds in Pittsfield, and there's a 30-bed facility opening at any time on the grounds in the Western Mass Hospital. That's over 100 beds because people have been fighting for addictions, and that money should continue to be with the providers, not with the Sheriff's Department for additional services.
Well, I just want to thank everybody. I want to recognize Grace Dias here, who is what I would consider a pioneer in going through her story and the loss of her son, who stepped up and opened up with a great committee, Michael's House. And I'm so proud, and I'm looking forward to working with you, Grace, and thank you for being here. And as you can see, with men and women that are on my right and left, we are serving the county of Hampden, and we are doing it with great professionalism, integrity, and experience. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good to see you.
They're not?
They're not.
Whoever said they're not?
The 77 beds
See, that's,
that are unused.
See, that's the biggest misnomer, and I'm so glad you asked the question. This is the issue with this race. I am running against gentlemen who don't understand corrections. I am running against gentlemen who do not understand what happens at the Hampden County Sheriff's Department every day. We have a 157 bed facility that is full each and every day that is getting direct services for substance abuse. What Mr. Ashe would like to do is reopen a closed unit at the tune of $500,000. How he's going to staff it and how he's going to pay for it, we don't know. And he wants to bring people from the outside who have not been incarcerated, who are looking for on-demand treatment, and put them into an institutional jail cell.
See, the unit that I run, it is 154 beds. It's 2 units. It's 77 on one unit, and there's 77 on another unit, and in total, that's 154 beds. So
Is that at Ludlow?
that's at Ludlow.
And then we have more substance abuse beds at pre-release, and we have we have 150 at our addiction center.
So what's the total beds?
We got 157, 150.
Math is not much.
So that's
You can do
307.
the math.
That's 307 plus we
Pre-release,
have a pre-release.
125.
So you're looking at
Close to 450
400
people are in intensive programming.
But I think that question that Stephanie asked really encapsulates this race. There's one professional with 23 years of experience that understands what goes on behind those fences and inside those institutional facilities every day. And there's 2 other gentlemen running on a political endeavor that do not understand that what they're saying affects people's lives every single day. And that's why we held this press conference, to put on record the work that we're doing, the work that we're going to continue to do, and as you saw by the men and women who surrounded me up here today, the work that we will continue to refine what works, because we are deeply entrenched into substance abuse agencies and BSAS throughout the state and the Commonwealth. Our men and women don't come and guess on how we're going to get it right. They're part of the solution in figuring out how we're going to do it for the future.
And as I said earlier, those units, you have certified counselors working on there, so they're certified and they're very well trained to be working with our inmate population.
Michael?
Okay, so Mr. Urbano held a press conference the other day. Mr. Ashe had his press conference. It seems to me, listening to what they're saying, is that they're trying to expand the role of the Hampden County Sheriff into public health fields that go beyond the traditional roles of the Sheriff's Department, and also goes beyond the budget. For instance, Mr. Urbano is now saying that as Sheriff, he would move the facility from the projected site at Mill Street back to jail in Ludlow, and he said that he would work to getting a neighborhood health center there. He said, for instance, that he would somehow get Narcan into the hands of every police officer in Hampden County, along with the training. These things sound great. I mean, officers having Narcan sounds like a great idea, but it goes beyond what the sheriff traditionally does. It also goes beyond your budget. Could you just address some of this blurring that's going on? Because it seems like instead of talking about what you guys do at the jail, other cans are talking about everything other than.
Well, Mike, there's a reason for that. Because Mr. Albano and Mr. Ashe don't know what happens at the jail. Cocchi does. I understand what happens every day at the facility and how we take somebody in from the community that is removed from society due to the courts, come into incarceration, and then we build an individual service plan to get them back successfully and re-enter them back to the community. We do utilize Narcan, our department itself. We do encourage other folks to be trained, and we bring trainers in to do that as well. When you talk about the facilities, I do believe that Mr. Albano is going more into the public health model. I am going to leave the public health model for the public health professionals. What I'm running on, and what the officer sheriff has done over my 23-year tenure, is we do what we do best. That is to educate and treat incarcerated men and women, and then encourage them upon release with an aftercare support service agency to seek out the services on their own to then integrate with the community programs like I outlined in my statement. That is going to be the successful way to combat and to slow down this runaway train. The sheriff has responsibility to the entire county. And as sheriff of Hampden County, I will always have my resources at the ready for anybody in need. But we have to support, most importantly, we have to support these agencies that are out there that are already doing the job, and encourage our men and women to seek follow-up with them through referrals, walking them through with our mentors, walking them through the threshold of the door so there's a comfort level there, and ensuring that they're maintaining the most important piece of recovery, which is those wraparound service appointments, getting to AA and NA, making sure you attend your mental health appointments, making sure you attend your health appointments, because a happy, successful inside, a healthy inside helps you have a healthy thinking process.
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you're asking these questions, because it's 56 days out, and it is time for the real issues of the sheriff's race to come to the forefront. I have watched for many months taglines and political rhetoric, and it's time to start tackling the issues. The next sheriff of Hampden County has to be ready on day one to serve. We don't need a tour. It's not an on-the-job training piece. It's about representing the community and utilizing your experiences and why I've been there and what we have done as a program in a department for 23 years and even beyond before I started. Yes.
Roughly in the year that the Western Mass Regional Program has operated at the Holyoke Geriatric Center now, has that lost any of its effectiveness at all because it isn't located in Springfield, integrated in with all of these community programs that you say they need to be close to?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm going to give you a quick story. When we left Howard Street, we had 100 volunteer mentors and volunteers. Within 1 month of being in Holyoke, we were down to 40. Immediately impacting our program. Why? The treatment in the educational classes didn't change a bit, but the access to bring our offenders into the community, to attend those meetings, to go out and go to appointments so they can start to meet with individuals, that affected the program. And what we found in our history of being with our addiction center is the key component of success is based around our volunteer mentorship program. It's about linking our offenders with somebody who is going to now become their buddy and bring them and walk them through the thresholds of the doors so they can feel comfortable and they can feel confident staying on a path of recovery. So it absolutely has affected us. Now, when we went there as a temporary site, everybody's hands were up in arms. Oh, not here. I was speaking at a function in Holyoke just this week, and they were asking us, please, will you reconsider and stay? You are a great neighbor. What you do impacts our neighborhood. So as we do start to transition again to another facility, I want everybody in the community to know that we will have and we will continue to be that good neighbor. We will be a good neighbor to any place that houses the Hampden County Sheriff's Department facility, treatment center, day reporting, access area. Anybody else?
One more,
Sure.
slightly off the topic of today.
Sure.
Mr. Albano released a press release this morning, I think it was, concerning his, I think it's an 11-point plan that he's promising to the correctional employees. In fact, he's having a thank you event, I believe it's tomorrow night, at Nathan Bill's with him. Have you had the chance of looking at these points of contention that he claims are real issues with the correctional officers, and do you see them as being valid? Do you see them as not being valid? What's your reaction to this, Nick?
I have looked at his 11-point plan, and I have I challenged at the NAACP forum. I mentioned that a lot of it cannot be brought to fruition. I've again looked at it, and I will be coming out shortly with ideas on why I know, not believe, but know you can't deliver on some of the promises. For example, you cannot just change somebody's pay scale or salary without going to the state system and applying to change someone's grade. So to do that, you have to have the Office of Administration and Finance okay a change in status. So as a sheriff, you have the ability to make promotions and you can shuffle people around, but to in large groups just change the salary structure, it has to be approved first. The other piece that I really was concerned about with his proposal was his aggressive approach in reducing the number of superintendents, reducing the number of uniformed supervisors to take a play and prey on the correctional officers' emotions. You have to understand that we hire extremely talented staff, very educated staff, and to do what Mike Albano is implying he will do would diminish any career opportunities for the future of those men and women he's speaking to. I look at that group, as I said in that forum, and I see future superintendents, captains, lieutenants, and sergeants. So to eliminate those positions would be detrimental to somebody's potential future career ladder. And then I would also say, one of the questions that I've been asked many times is, Nick, why did you pull back from seeking that endorsement? And it was a very simple decision on my part. I pulled back because I could see the anguish and the tension at the Hampden County Sheriff's Department, with people who supported Nick Cocchi, to people who supported Tom Ashe, Jack Griffin, Mike Albano, James Gill. And what I said is, a real leader will remove himself from asking for that endorsement and will just serve them the way he should when he sits in that office. So at this point, nobody can be upset with other correctional staff. Nobody can be upset with the union because Nick Cocchi removed himself. I put it on my shoulders. And as a leader in the future, hopefully the future sheriff of Hampden County, that's what it takes to lead men and women. You don't pray and make promises. You serve and you try to bring calmness in an environment where it's conducive to work. I can only tell you, at times, it can get a little bit ramped up at our place. People are nervous. Their future's at stake. The vision of the department's at stake. And I wanted to take one major, bold step forward to show them that I'm not afraid to lead. And I'll lead by doing and making the tough decision. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you very much.